right, then we'll do, so mind control. Let's talk about mind control. Why am I obsessed with the moon landing and trying to uncover it? So I've been trying to learn Clair de Lune. And I'm just looking at this moon, just like, I'm fascinated, because I have no idea what that is. None. It isn't what they say. So I talk about the moon landing, where it's like, where I'm like, the moon landing obviously didn't happen. It's on them to prove it happened, not on us to prove it didn't happen, because it goes against every aspect of our life. And people are like, well, I mean, why do you even care? That it's everywhere. Someone did this bottom part. I put it with the top part, one of the bears. Even Oreo is like, the moon landing 50th anniversary. I think tomorrow may be the 50th anniversary, and I'm going to do a whole episode just on the moon landing. It's like, let it go. Why does it even matter? Because it's everywhere, and it's used to control you. So here's Life, the moon landing. Here's Texas Monthly, to the moon and back. It's just everything's about the moon landing. Why? Because it's the way to control someone, and this is very, very real, is when you get them to agree to something that's obviously insane, they'll agree to anything you say. It's how you show authority. So you can't make a cell phone call in the road coming to my house. Like, you lose reception every day when I'm like on the phone to Vox talking about unauthorized or something. And if I'm going down a certain dip in the road, the call drops every time. Okay? In 1969, they're saying that you can make a phone call from the moon to the White House. It's like, how you doing up there, Buzz? Well, sir, I'm obviously hammered, and I'm driving around a dune buggy that we brought up here for no reason. So they did the unthinkable. Like, okay, they didn't have the electricity or power to broadcast anything. Right now, you know, our local TV station, if I wanted to go there, you would see giant transformers for power, giant dishes, all this stuff. And that's within the ionosphere of our world. To go past the Van Allen belt, past the ionosphere, past into what they claim to be a vacuum. Forget that a vacuum would destroy the Lem, conveniently named after John F. Kennedy's homosexual boyfriend named Lem. Very unique name. Nothing can exist in a vacuum. When you create a vacuum on Earth, it takes 6-foot cement and lead containers to make a vacuum, and everything is crushed or explodes. It absolutely dismantles everything, a real vacuum. So their little lander that looks like an ant colony on Adderall created it out of paper mache would obviously be destroyed. Once they get there, they have, with a 12-volt battery, they send a television signal through 240,000 miles of vacuum, through a Van Allen belt of radiation, through the ionosphere, into our atmosphere, on a planet that they claim is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and have a clear conversation with the President of the United States of America. The proof they then destroy, because they said there was budget problems, even though they were making $58 million a day since 1969 in today's money. And the technology that they use to get to the moon, they have destroyed and cannot replicate. Okay, that's crazier than me right now saying I'm a penguin. So what effect does it have on people? What it does is, when you agree to something that preposterous, you know, and also the moon rocks have all been confirmed to be petrified wood. They lost all the data, as 1 metric ton of telemetry data has now been destroyed. Okay. So the rebuttal to that is, but there's reflectors on the moon. It's like, okay, it's your job to tell me how people got to the moon in a vacuum, drove around a dune buggy, had a long distance call, and went back a couple times and never went back, destroyed all the evidence, it's so preposterous. It's the start of a cult. It's the start of secular religion, because once you accept that which you cannot prove at all, and people be like, well, you believe in Jesus Christ. It's like, there were way more witnesses way more evidence right now of Jesus' resurrection than of that entire moon thing. Way more documented evidence, even if you go that direction. And here's another difference. I have faith. It's like I believe in something that I can't physically prove. It's faith. They don't claim to have faith. They say they have scientific knowledge. They're evangelical atheists. You know, they're like, we know we went to the moon. All the evidence says that not only did you not go to the moon, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So you name something after the current president's homosexual boyfriend named Lem. You do a live TV broadcast. Nobody in television, when pressed, would say that this is remotely possible. Think of all the power you need to transmit 90 miles under our ionosphere, under the Van Allen belt, not in a vacuum. Okay, and that's with fixed positions nearby. Now, imagine you're on the moon in 1969 with 12-volt batteries that are not being used for heating or cooling, even though you're on a planet, allegedly, or a moon, that ranges from plus 300 to minus 260 degrees Celsius. No heating, no cooling. In a vacuum with, have you seen the spacesuits? The pressurized? That doesn't exist in a vacuum. Okay? So they then beam the live feed and have a live conversation with Nixon, which is on a moving planet at 1,000 miles an hour. They're aiming the signal with no power through the thickest radiation belts known to man. The ionosphere, the magnetosphere, the Van Allen belt, 240,000 miles of vacuum. And then this is how the people that are mind controlled will say, they'll say, it wasn't 240,000 miles, it was kilometers or, something. And they'll be like, that discredits you. And I'm like, you're mind controlled. And so then when you see people believe the Russia collusion narrative or global warming or 7-year-olds can be trans or Caitlyn Jenner's the woman of the year, and you think, how can people fall for that? When you fall for the first one, you'll fall for any of it.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.